delighted to have with us the President of the United States, Donald Trump, George Weigel, and Gary Sinise, all straight ahead. If you'd like to comment on tonight's show, particularly the presidential interview, send me a tweet. I'm at Raymond Arroyo. Keep it clean and civil. In the wake of massive protests around the world and the ongoing global pandemic, it seemed the right time to talk to the President of the United States. How does he mean to restore the nation's unity? What about those who are attempting to expand the meaning of the word pro-life? We also talk about DACA and John Bolton and the Vigano letter and much more. You won't want to miss a moment of this. Here's my exclusive interview with President Donald J. Trump from the White House. Mr. President, this week we saw Columbus go down. Roosevelt is now going down. St. Junipero Serra, who built all the missions along California. What can you and the federal government do about this?
By the way, Gandhi, okay, you saw Ulysses S. Grant where they want to take him down. He's the one that stopped the ones that everybody dislikes so much. You know, it's a disgrace. Also, remember, some of this is great artwork. This is magnificent artwork, as good as there is anywhere in the world, as good as you see in France, as good as you see anywhere. It's a disgrace. Most of these people don't even know what they're taking down.
Is there anything you can do?
Yeah,
can you add
we're
it
going
to
to
the
do something
National
very soon.
Historic?
We're going to do an executive order, and we're going to make the cities guard their monuments. This is a disgrace. Now, for the most part, they're not federal. Oh, it was up to them. They're already talking about Thomas Jefferson, the great Jefferson
Washington.
Memorial. They're talking about
Lincoln.
They're talking about Washington. Lincoln, I haven't heard, but they're probably talking about that too.
I need to talk for a moment about DACA. That big DACA ruling came down.
Right.
The bishops of the United States hailed that ruling. There are 700,000 dreamers out there. What do you mean to do with them?
So what we want to do is win the case and then work it out, because we'll be able to work it out. They're not going to have anything to worry about. But you know, we didn't lose that case. That case was, the statement was made, refile it or do whatever you want in a different form. John Roberts didn't like the form, so we're going to give it to him in a different form. It was a similar rule to the census, which frankly I wanted to do it a different way. I should have done it the way I originally wanted. I wanted to go back in, but they just went with it. But this is a very important thing, and it actually gives the president more power. I should be happy, but I don't want that power.
We are seeing unprecedented violence across the country, Mr. President, in this this territory in Seattle. You've been watching this on the news. Is there anything you from this office can do to restore order and safety?
Right. Raymond, what I want people to watch just for a little while. It's all Democrats, usually liberal Democrats. Take a look. Whether it's Chicago, it's Democrat. Seattle, it's Democrat. The state of Washington, it's Democrat. Portland, it's Democrat. All of these places are run by Democrats. 20 out of 20 are Democrat run. They don't know what they're doing. And if Biden got in, this country would be a disaster, because you know, you don't report on 98% of the places. Take a look at the way we're running things. We're running them good. And if I weren't president, they would have overrun. You talk about the statues, we wouldn't have any statues standing right now, because I did things that you don't know about to save a lot of them. Now, they ripped one down the other night right in front of the police headquarters. We have a liberal Democrat mayor, and she should not have allowed that to happen.
I need to get to something I've been hearing a lot of in evangelical and Catholic circles. They're saying, Joe Biden says he's opposed to the death penalty, and in these Catholic and evangelical circles, they say he supports efforts to end climate change, therefore he's pro-life, and you're not. What would your response be?
So first of all, Joe Biden, I am totally in favor of the death penalty for heinous crimes, okay? That's the way it is, all right? I'm pro-life, he's not, and the Democrats, look who he's putting on the court. They want to put people on the court. You have no chance. So I'm pro-life, the Democrats aren't. Nobody can say that Biden isn't. Look at his stance over the years. But you know, and I know, Biden's not going to be running things. It's going to be run by other people. Biden's shot. It's one of those things, I hate to say it, but Biden is shot. But the Democrats are not, it's not just him, it's a party, it's a platform. Take a look at the platform. Look at the governor of Virginia. Look at what he did. He did an execution after, you know, normally they talk about late term. His wasn't late term. His was the baby was born, and then you can execute the baby. That's the Democrats, and that's Biden.
Talk to me for a moment. John Bolton's making a lot of headlines this morning about claiming that you spoke with President Xi and were willing to, pleaded with him to help in your reelection, and that you approved these concentration camps in China.
Yeah, first of all,
speak to that.
I don't plead with anybody, and he knows that. He's a lying guy. He was a washed-up guy. I gave him a chance. He couldn't get confirmed by the Senate. I gave him a non-confirmed, an area where you don't have to go through the Senate. And then he goes out and writes a book. The book is a total lie, but more importantly, or mostly a lie, more importantly, what he did is illegal. It's classified information. And I think, number one, we're going to get back for the government the money, any money that he made. And number two, I think he's got very major problems. He violated the law. Let's see what happens.
Well, and Mulvaney came out and said, this is fiction today.
Mick Mulvaney was great, and Mnuchin was great. And if you look at our great Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, he was great. Everybody was in the room, and nobody heard what Bolton heard. And why would I do that? China has never met a person in this office that's treated them the way I do. Never. We've taken in tens of billions of dollars from China. They've never had a situation like this. Before the pandemic, which probably was sent by them, whether it was accident or on purpose, we'll figure that out. But before this horror show that all these 188 countries are going through, China was having the worst year in 67 years.
Right.
That's me. That's because of me. Because with any of these people, if you take a look what happened with Biden and Obama, China ripped this country like it's never been ripped before, and that'll go back. If Biden won, China would own the United States. They would literally own the United States. You know it, and so do I.
Let's talk for a moment about these mail-in ballots. There are calls across the country. I read where Michigan has already sent in mail-in ballot requests to all their voters. What can you do about this? You believe this will promote or encourage fraud in the
I think
election?
it's going to be the greatest fraud ever. I think it's going to be a rigged election if they do that, if they're allowed to do it. We went through World War I and World War II. People went out and voted. And now they're saying the pandemic, they're using that as an excuse. The news is building it up like crazy. Mail-in ballots, you're going to have foreign countries. You talk about foreign countries, they're going to be printing their own ballots. It will be a rigged election if they do that. Now, we're suing on many different states,
right.
and we're having great luck. We're winning some of these suits. We're going to see what happens. If we go to mail-in ballots, they're going to take them out of the mailboxes. They're going to take them from postmen. They're going to print them fraudulently, and foreign countries are going to print them. California just announced they're sending out millions and millions of ballots. Where are they going, Raymond? Where are these ballots going? Who are they going to? And then maybe they don't send to a Republican neighborhood. You take a look. We had 7 races in California at the end, House races. Everybody was close, and then in the end we lost. They dumped a whole pile of ballots on tables. But we won the big one. We won the one just recently.
Right.
And first time in 22 years. I think really good things are happening. People are seeing what's happening, but mail-in ballots will lead to the greatest rigged election and the greatest fraud in the history of our country, potentially.
We have to talk about police reform. This is at the top of every headline. It's bound up in the protests we've been seeing. Do you support, and it's spreading around Capitol Hill, the idea of ending qualified immunity for cops?
Look, we're going to have to let our police, number one, we need great people, and we have great people. You'll see one person, but you won't see thousands of people that do a great job. Police, law enforcement. We have the greatest law enforcement in the world. We have to protect them. If you do anything with immunity, nobody's going to be able to do their job. So no, I don't support it at all.
After all we've seen, the tumult of the last few weeks, how do you bring this country together? And how do you get Black Americans to listen anew? They were leaning in and listening to what Donald Trump was saying and doing. How do you get them to give you a second look?
Well, it's a shame that I have to even ask that, because I did criminal justice reform, I did opportunity zones, I funded the black colleges, as you know,
First
and
president to do that.
universities.
Yep.
I funded it, and they have long-term financing. Nobody else did it. Obama didn't do it. Nobody did it. I did more for, I say it, and I say it openly, I did more for our black population than anybody other than Abraham Lincoln, okay? And nobody's even close. What I did on criminal justice reform, they've been trying to get it for years, and nobody did it. Obama didn't do it, I did it. And it's a shame you have to say that, because to be honest with you, Raymond, they should say, we love Trump. And I think a lot do. I think a lot of African American great people in this country, they appreciate what I've done. We'll soon find out.
What is your opinion, and how do you deal with these states that are refusing to open up, Mr. President? Is there anything you can do? Refuse them funding, withhold funding unless they open up?
A lot of it is a thing for November 3rd, because the longer they hold out, they think it hurts the economy, and if it hurts the economy, that's good for them. But our economy, we just had record job numbers 2 weeks ago. We had record retail sales numbers last week. I think we're going to do very well. We're doing very well.
Archbishop Vigano wrote you a letter that you tweeted out. He was the former nuncio, Vatican representative here in Washington. In it, he said, what you're facing is a battle of the children of the light versus the children of darkness. He said these protests were infernal deceptions. How did you react to that letter? He asked people to pray for you. And is that an accurate read of where we are?
I think it is, and I think he is a great gentleman, and it was a tremendous letter of support from the Catholic Church. He's highly respected, as you know. It was beautiful. It was really 3 pages long, and it was a beautiful letter, and I appreciated it. Yeah, but he's right in what he says.
Final question. How do you want to be remembered by the next generation, and how do you get there?
So I was there 3 months ago. We had the greatest economy ever, the greatest job numbers, great for everybody, for women, for African American, Hispanic American, Asian Americans, people without a high school diploma. There's so many categories, every single category. And then we got hit with the plague from China, and now I'm doing it again. And next year, we're going to have a phenomenal economic year, one of the best.
Joe Biden and the Democrats want to prosecute Americans for going to church, but not for burning a church. They believe you can riot, vandalize, and destroy, but you cannot attend a peaceful pro-America rally.
They're nipping at you over attendance at this Tulsa rally. What really happened there, in your opinion?
Well, there were many things. First of all, there was a curfew that was enforced the first night where many people had to leave.
Right.
And it was, enforced by the mayor. Where many people the first night, meaning a couple of nights out, they had to leave. They've been waiting there, and then all of a sudden they're forced out. But there were many things that happened, including protesters, including Black Lives Matter, including probably Antifa. We'll find out because they're looking at it now. They had protesters. And also, for 2 weeks, we have been hammered that if you walk into that arena, you're going to be in big trouble, big trouble. And, we had a good crowd. I'll tell you right now.
You did.
If you look at that, that was a lot of people. It was a 22,000 seat place. And if you have, we had a lot of people in there. And what they don't say is online was phenomenal numbers.
Right.
And I heard
the
television,
broadcast network's huge.
I heard the television network did fantastic.
I don't know any politician or stand-up comedian who holds forth for 2 hours with the energy and verve that you brought, including the leather shoe routine, which was classic.
They're leather shoes, that's right. I have them again. They're leather shoes, but they're not meant for an ice skating ramp.
No, don't do that.
No,
don't do
I won't
that.
do
Mr. President.
Have a good time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.